No, I mean, obviously a couple weeks to heal up, and Arizona has allowed 49 points for the third time in the last 4 games. So, that game, I mean, it could be a trap. It might be a night game in Tucson. I kind of hope it's an afternoon game, but that's really immaterial. But USC should be able to get past that road game, and then a chance to breathe. Like Arizona could be a little tricky, but Cal on the first weekend of November, Colorado on the second weekend of November, and that Colorado game's on a Friday, so you get an extra day of rest before the UCLA game. And then, hey, Notre Dame losing to Stanford at home, my goodness. So as much as this loss stings, I mean, if USC can just heal up enough to handle the road trip to Tucson, and Jaden DeLora could put it on USC's defense, especially if Eric Gentry isn't healthy. Like that's, I think, the main worry there for that October 29th game in 2 weeks. But assuming USC can get out of Tucson with a win, we're looking at 10-2 minimum, and the UCLA game is really the one remaining very stiff test. And so, as painful as tonight was, the bottom line is USC is still likely to go 10-2, likely to have at least 10-2, and likely to have everything to play for when it goes against the Bruins on November 19th. Still, if you had been given this scenario before the season began, you'd have taken it in a hot minute. And so everything is still right there for USC. And, Utah plays Oregon, UCLA plays Oregon, so they're going to beat each other up. And so USC is obviously behind UCLA and Oregon in the standings right now, but that's going to change with, subsequent results in the coming weeks. I would say that now that USC has, in fact, lost to Utah, it benefits USC if Oregon beats UCLA. And that's because if Oregon does beat UCLA, that means, that puts UCLA and USC on the same footing, which means that the November 19th game is basically for the spot opposite Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. So you just there won't be a head-to-head tiebreaker in terms of both teams finishing with the same number of wins and losses in the Pac-12 standings. They're going to be tied in the standings heading into that game on the 19th. So the winner's just going to finish one game ahead. The loser's going to finish one game behind. So I think that an Oregon win over UCLA is the better outcome, because USC doesn't play Oregon, so there's no chance to get a head-to-head against the Ducks. And so with Oregon beating UCLA and then Utah just losing one more game at some point along the way, could be at Oregon, could be at Washington State. That's probably not going to be an easy night game for Utah in Pullman. That's on a Thursday. An Oregon win over UCLA is probably the better outcome next week in Eugene for USC. And so it's all still right there. So much to play for, so much to win. And the main thing really is for Eric Gentry and Jordan Addison to have injuries which are not as severe as we're all worried about right now. And obviously it's going to take a few days to get some reports and information on that. But, if those guys are able to be available for UCLA, I think USC should be able to beat Arizona without them. And then, of course, you have Cal and Colorado, which are really two breathers. I mean, they really are two chances for everybody to get healthy for UCLA. Just getting past Tucson and then coming home to Los Angeles in November, where USC does not leave Los Angeles in all of November. It's still all set up for USC to have a spectacular season, even though tonight was such a gut punch.
And it's a further gut punch right now as the Dodgers are about to lose to the Padres in the race.
Snike keeps getting better.
Exactly.
But I will add to that one thing I do like about Lincoln Riley is that he does hold the players accountable. Like the whole, no blocky, no rocky. It'd be interesting to see what he does with the team here going forward. In the next few games. How the other players get the ball and how he makes adjustments. Coming from a loss, this is a tough loss. So I'm got my eye on Lincoln Riley to see how he adjusts. And, I want to see the post interview too. I haven't seen that. I'm going to look that up once we're done here.
I haven't either. Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
And hey guys, while we've got Matt here, let's we've got a couple of folks that have joined us that we'd love to give you guys a chance to ask Matt questions and give your thoughts on the game. We've got Ben and Tide Guy. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me.
We've got you guys here live with Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire, the real expert. So tell us what you think and let us know what guru insights we need to grab from Matt.
Well, first thing I want to ask Matt, and I want to ask you guys. I heard you guys talking about the referee, and I didn't catch the whole game. Actually, first thing, I'm sorry for the loss, guys. But it was an entertaining game. At least I caught the last half. But I have to know that last. I don't know. It was that play that they added the 5 seconds. That whole play. I mean, what was that? I don't understand what happened. I mean, I don't understand how they called a timeout during a play. I mean, can anybody explain that to me?
Matt, that's because you're from a real conference.
Well, I mean, we saw how disorganized the refs were on.
Yeah, I'm saying Matt froze up, but I'll add to that. They were the timekeepers, so they're the home team. So it was on Rice Eccles, whoever the staff there was. I believe if I heard him right, I was in the middle of 5 things. I think that one of the officials signaled the ball, the play dead. Am I wrong on that? And then the timekeeper stopped. If you notice when they're showing the playback of the clock, that the clock stops at one point and then continues on when they went to go review it. So I'm not sure what happened. So here's the answer: the Pac-12 officiating. That's the answer.
Yeah, I got. Well, you know what? And I don't even understand why that after that the guy intercepted the ball, he's like out of bounds and he gets thrown down like right there at the sideline, and then he would throw a flag there. I was like, what is going on with this play? I was like, and I understand, and I've been saying that about the officiating all year, and in the Big Ten, but this game was. I don't think from my perspective, and I was pulling for USC. I didn't think it was I don't think it was like one-sided as a fanboy. I thought it was just kind of bad officiating in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the sad thing about that last drive, it didn't come down to was USC with a score. I think everyone here would probably, even then some of the Ute fans agree that USC probably gets down there and scores. They just ran out of time. And that goes back to what Tony and I were talking about the clock management. If I have one, this is the first time all year I've been very critical of the coaching. I think that Riley has to stop the clock there so you can control the time and give your offense enough time to move down the field and score, because we've seen them. They even the broadcasters brought up, they were scoring at 130, 115, and those were touchdowns. All you had to do is get to probably about the 38-yard line to set up a really long 55-yard field goal. But, that was possible with that time. And if they had saved that time out in 40 seconds, like Tony said, we might be having a different conversation right now.
But unfortunately, there at the end, Tim, you guys kind of shot yourselves in the foot, with the kick return, you got the holding call, and then the very first play, you got another holding call, and then you got an offside, a false start.
Yeah.
That really killed you guys.
You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a sloppy game.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if we'd had just been able to have that ball on the 50 with 45 seconds to go. This would be a lot happier show.
The momentum swings on this game was crazy because those calls killed a lot. It gave a lot of momentum to Utah and killed the momentum for USC. So, not to mention, obviously, the bad calls, but the momentum that adds to all of that, the repercussions to all those calls is a tough hit.
But I will tell you, Rick, that before the season started, I told Tim and Tony that I thought USC would go 9-3. And I thought the ceiling was 10-2. But now I would change it to I see you guys going 10-2 and the ceiling being 11-1.